Aloha, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to another week of live Q&A here on Trauma Recovery University. I'm hoping you can hear me. I've had some audio issues here. My name's Athena Moberg. Are you in the right place? Every week I come here and I answer questions that are sent to me by the community of adult survivors of childhood abuse, specifically childhood sexual abuse. And a lot of times, most of the time, you'll see everybody over on Twitter, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, using the hashtag #NoMoreShame. And there's also a live chat feature on YouTube where everybody goes and hangs out and supports one another, and I answer everyone's questions that they send me on a specific topic. So this week's topic is healthy dating and healthy romantic relationships. And then I have some random Q&A that was sent to me by a lot of you guys. So I just want to say hello to everyone and thank you so much. I'm very honored that you guys are all here every week. It's just amazing. It never ceases to amaze me how many of you guys are here supporting one another and just showing up here to be with one another every single week. So happy early Valentine's Day to everyone. And, oh good, I just got a message that you guys can hear me. Awesome, I'm so glad. Oh my gosh, sometimes when there's tech issues, it can be very, like, you feel like you're sort of failing before you even begin. So happy early Valentine's Day to everyone. It is February 13th, 2017. If you're tuning in live, welcome. And if you're tuning in live, would you please say happy 21st birthday to Lizzie? Because she's spending her birthday with us. And I'm just so grateful that she's chosen to spend her birthday with all of us. So far to date, you guys out there on the interwebs, as Richard Grannon calls it, there are thousands of you in over 180 countries. And you all either show up live or watch the replays. And many of you, several hundred of you, if not 1,000, I had lost track, are in safe groups. And you're all in safety, free from predators, free from abuse of any kind, supporting one another. And it's just amazing and miraculous to see that happen every week. So thank you, thank you. I'm just so blessed. Thank you for letting me know that you're receiving the resources that I'm putting up on the websites, and thank you for letting us know that you're receiving the resources and that they're helpful. So if this is your first time joining us, welcome. I'm so excited that you've chosen to spend this hour to 90 minutes with us. And if this topic is not pertinent or even relatable or not relevant to your current recovery healing journey from childhood sexual abuse or any form of child abuse, then take the best and leave the rest. I think AA or another 12-step program sort of coined that phrase. So it applies here. Take the best and leave the rest. We are glad you're here. We're super excited that you've chosen to spend time with us. But if you don't want to hear information about healthy dating or healthy romantic relationships, you can just turn off the video if you like. Or you can just hang out and go over and go on Twitter using the hashtag #NoMoreShame, or go over to YouTube if you're tuning in live and hang out with everybody over there and just have great conversation and receive support. And if you have other questions that you would like me to record videos about, which I'm getting a whole bunch of different questions, and it's just amazing. Like, I ask, hey, send me questions, and you guys send questions. So post them below this video. I'm sort of trying out something new this week. I've been messaging back and forth with Harriet, and we're going to try a new thing this week. So let me know, give this video a thumbs up if it's helpful for you, and let me know on sort of the new thing that I'm trying out this week, which is you're going to post questions and sort of hang out below in the comment section, and we're not going to take the video down this week, even though in the description section of this video right now, if you were to look there, if you're tuning in live, it says I'm going to take the video down. But I'm trying something new this week, and we're not going to take the video down, and we're not going to do an intro and an outro for the replays. and we're just going to go old school, straight up raw, whatever, just, just do it. And if I mention a video or a reference or a resource that is helpful for you during this broadcast, then Harriet on the replay is going to pop up a little YouTube card, which works on mobile. And annotations don't work on mobile. And 74% of you find me on mobile. So I'm just trying to sort of tweak is that the right word I'm looking for? Tweak? I'm hoping I'm using it in the right context. I'm trying to tweak the format and the weekly way that I reach you and come into your living rooms or your mobile devices or your tablets or your hearts. I just want to make it as accessible and relevant to you, the survivor, as possible. So let me know how you feel about this new thing. Oh, and secondly, besides popping up a little YouTube card when something is mentioned that is helpful for you guys, the community, and there are 30 of you live just on the YouTube app. I don't know how many of you are on the website, and I don't know how many of you are viewing from something else. And I know there are that many of you or more on Twitter. So hi, August. Hi, Charlie. Oh my gosh, there's so many of you guys. If I start, I'm not going to be able to stop saying hi to everybody. So in an effort to be respectful of your time, I just want to let you know, like, if you enjoy this format and the informality of it all and the informalness of it all and just how it's just going to be recorded and it's just going to be left there, and the comments will be an area where you guys can all hang out after the chat box. Like if you're watching a replay, obviously the chat box, I don't get to see the chat box ever. I never get to see them unless I go into Storify, which one of our community members, Jack, so graciously chooses to do every single week for us. But I never get to see what's going on in the YouTube chat to like acknowledge you or support you or anything. So if it's a question that you want me to see and you're on the YouTube chat box right now, if you're in the YouTube chat box right now, but you want me to see a question and do a future video, then if you could maybe post it in the comments, that would be awesome. And then secondly, Harriet is going to link up below in the description here anything that I mentioned that will be helpful for your journey that pertains to the topic that we are discussing tonight, which is healthy dating and healthy romantic relationships for the adult survivor of childhood abuse, childhood sexual abuse, any type of childhood abuse. So I received a ton of questions on this topic. One of our community members in one of our groups, on the first day I asked for topics, he posted it, and then I had 5 other people message me with the exact same topic, which was, can you just tell us what red flags are, what the red flags are to look for in relationships, so that we can be mindful of the red flags, but at the same time show us like what the example would be of a healthy dating relationship or healthy romantic relationship, so that we can compare and contrast, be mindful of the red flags, and yet have some sort of like a model to go from. So I really want to add as much value as possible. I want to provide as many resources as possible for you guys and equip you in a way that is relevant, meaningful, applicable, easily accessible, and duplicatable. So you can like do it and like, wow, that worked for me. I'm going to do that again. And I'm going to continue to look for that. And the whole thing, like I was leaving a voicemail for someone today, and I was sort of thinking out loud about the importance of creating healthy daily habits. And the reason that I want to share that with you is so much of dating and healthy romantic relationships, like healthy dating and healthy romantic relationships, so much of those milestone events and those events, I'll just call them events, so much of those events don't happen when they're happening. So the most important parts of healthy dating and healthy romantic relationships happen before you even begin dating and before you begin the romantic relationship. So what do I mean by that? Oh, first of all, I'm going to just push the pause button really, really quick on the dating topic. And what do I even mean by so many important things that happen in dating and healthy romantic relationships happen before you're dating or in a romantic relationship. I want to come back to that, and I just want to issue a trigger warning. So we will be discussing topics here on this YouTube channel, specifically in this video, that may be triggering for you. Many survivors, when we're on a topic that is applicable to them, and they hear things discussed that perhaps those are not best practices that they've adopted as their own, or they have not experienced relationships that line up with the ones that I'm discussing during the video, that can be very triggering for them, because survivors tend to blame themselves. Oh, well, Athena just described what a healthy relationship looks like, and I've never even done that ever, and I'm 55. So I suck, and I'm an effing failure, and I'm just going to go die right now because I'm already 55, and Athena just described what a healthy relationship looks like, and I've never even seen one. So I suck, this sucks, life sucks, the world sucks, everything sucks, and I'm just going to go die. So if that is you, I want to just let you know that I've been there and that there's hope. And I'm not just going to leave you to figure out on your own, like, whoa, what do I do? What do I do? How do I make this choice to become healthy myself so that I can be in a healthy relationship, or choose to date, or choose to be in a healthy romantic relationship, or another situation that may be triggering for you is, well, hello, I'm married and I've been married for 20 years, and Athena just described an unhealthy relationship. And I'm realizing that I'm married and I'm in an unhealthy relationship. So that sucks. I suck. The world sucks. I'm going to go die. So I just want to let you know that, like, it's natural for you to, not natural, but it's common for you to feel that way if you either are in an unhealthy relationship, which could be toxic or abusive in nature, and you weren't aware of that because you just thought that growing up in abuse, you didn't know it was abuse, you just thought it was normal. And so then you repeated that pattern and ended up in an abusive relationship. Now, there's hope. And let me just tell you why there's hope. I'm going to sit up and start telling you guys some stuff here. So who am I, and why am I even allowed to, like, talk to you about this stuff? Okay, so first of all, I grew up, I'm an adult survivor of childhood sexual abuse and multiple types of childhood abuse, okay? So I was raised in a family that, I was raised in a domestic violence situation. And I was born to two parents that were each one of seven. Both families were dysfunctional and toxic. There was abuse generations prior, before my parents ever came around. And that was shared with me by both of my parents separately. They shared about the abuse, and then they subsequently shared with me, well, I just did the best I could because that's how I was raised. And at the time, that was an acceptable answer for me, like, just wondering, like, why did you raise me the way you did? And I remember interviewing my dad, like, can I just interview you? Like, I want to ask you a whole bunch of questions. I'm writing, it was when I was writing my first book. And even when I was writing my second book, like, I wanted to really have some real heart-to-heart conversations with God, and just in my own mind, and like with my readers, and when I do these videos. And you know, a lot can come from having those conversations. So I'm currently 43 years old, and I was born in the early 70s to two parents that were raised in abuse, and their parents were raised in abuse, and their parents and their parents and their parents. Perhaps I'm speculating because I didn't meet my great-grandparents, but I did meet my grandparents, and I do know that there was abuse in the way that it was abusive, the way they raised their children. It was either neglectful or abusive or both. So, and it was either covert or overt abuse that was present in both. So I witnessed that. I witnessed the effect it had on my parents. And I remember telling myself when I was really, really young that I didn't want my child to experience those horrible things that I was experiencing, and I wanted to do it different. And I didn't see a lot of love between them. My parents didn't show a lot of love, healthy love to one another. There were a lot of weapons. There were a lot of drugs, a lot of alcohol, not a lot of healthy food, and not a lot of healthy conversation. So my mom and my dad split up at a very young age. I believe I was 4 at the time, perhaps 5. I had abusive family members that stayed with us, watched me occasionally. My dad was in jail, and then he wasn't in jail, and my parents were both addicts, drug addicts and alcoholics. There were a lot of maladaptive behaviors and unhealthy coping strategies. I know what they are now as an adult. I didn't know as a 5-year-old, like my parents, have maladaptive behaviors and unhealthy coping strategies. All I knew is that my mommy and daddy, like, things weren't right. So my mom had several husbands, and my dad never remarried. And he had different girlfriends, but they were usually my age, like really, 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 really young. And it was very unhealthy, super duper duper unhealthy. So I didn't have a healthy role model growing up. So I ended up, not every relationship I ever had was unhealthy or abusive or toxic, but the long-lasting relationships I had in my adult years were not healthy. And I didn't date in a healthy way. And I didn't have healthy romantic relationships. The only romantic relationships I had, or dating relationships I had, were ones I look back on now and think, oh my goodness, I probably wished I would have done everything different. And I wish that I would have had someone to teach me how to do these things, and that I wouldn't have had to figure it all out on my own. So I'm telling you all of that just to tell you, like, who it is that I am. And after I was divorced in the year 2001, and I filed bankruptcy because my husband charged up my credit cards and bought a boat and a couple of computers. And I was a single mom raising my son by myself. And I've had to rebuild my life from 2001 until now, and that was 16 years ago. So I would say, I dated a few times after that, and they, I would say a couple of the dating relationships I had were not as healthy as I would like them to be, and a couple of them were quite abusive, overtly and covertly abusive. And it was a lot. I hid everything from my son. I made sure that he never, to the best of my knowledge, I made sure that he never saw overt abuse happen. Like, I didn't want him growing up knowing what abuse looked like and repeating those patterns. So I hid everything from him, and I put on a happy face and pretended everything was fine while I sort of managed it all and figured it all out. Well, that only worked like a little. And I felt like I did the best I could. But my real life change happened when I moved to Maui, Hawaii. I moved thousands of miles away from all of my abusers and everyone I knew. I moved to an island in the middle of the ocean that is the most remote island, farther away from any other landmass than any other island in the world. And I felt safe for the first time. And many survivors know that when your subconscious realizes that you're safe, all of a sudden it decides that it's okay to start remembering everything. So vivid memories came flooding back. And I probably dated, I think I dated like 1, maybe 2 people, like very, very briefly when I first moved here. But I just stopped everything. And I'm going to pick back up where I left off a little bit ago when I said that the most important part of healthy dating and healthy romantic relationships actually happens before you're dating or in a romantic relationship. And I'm going to say some things right now that you guys have heard a bazillion times. I'm speaking in hyperbole, of course. And you're going to perhaps think of, oh, you guys, Bobby just texted us. Eee! I'll read them later. I'm not 100% sure what it was about, but I haven't, like, that was awesome. So Bobby says hi. What I was saying was the most important part of healthy dating and healthy romantic relationships happens beforehand. And what I mean by that is I sort of pushed the pause button on life as it pertained to dating and romantic sort of things from about 2007, maybe 2006, 2007, all the way till almost 2011, like middle of 2010. So for a few years straight, I just focused on me, and I focused on my healing journey, and I focused on feeling all my feels and remembering all my memories and journaling. And I went to counseling like twice a week, and I was pressing in, and I was doing group studies for survivors. And I was surrounding myself with other people who got me for like the first time in my life. And I did that every week, a couple times a week in 2007, 8, 9, 10, for almost 5 years. So I really just wanted to focus on me and focus on like finding out, and the things I did, I'll tell you exactly what I did. There's no mystery here. I started reading books. The first book I read was Safe People by Townsend and Cloud. I don't have a link for it. Just Google it or go on Amazon and look for Safe People. And it's a blue book with a stoplight on it. That book changed my life. The second book I read was Boundaries by the same authors, Townsend and Cloud. And that book changed my life. I read those books over and over and over again, along with going to different Bible studies and different survivor studies and going to counseling and really just pressing into my relationship with God. I'm a woman of faith. If you're not a person of faith, I'm not saying that you can't heal. This is just the perspective that I can only share with you what I've done and what's worked for me. So if there are other things that have helped you, then please share them with our community. But for me, reading the book Safe People, reading the book Boundaries, and practicing the things that it taught me and putting those best practices into motion and replacing my old thought patterns and my old behaviors with new ones and creating new habits in my life that happened every single day. That's what helped me. That is what helped me. That is what changed my life. That is what helped me go from being in an unhealthy dating situation and unhealthy romantic relationships to recognizing what unsafe qualities were and what unhealthy boundaries were, and figuring out how to navigate the waters of dating and romance with a new healthy mindset, with sort of a grid to go by, right? Like that grid that you can like see, okay, well, if this is the case and this is the case, like, and you want to like be in here and you want to do what, like line up the things that are bad with the things that you want that are good, and then make sure that you don't have the bad things and you do have the good things, and that's the grid you go by. So for instance, some of the qualities that are unhealthy qualities that are difficult for us as survivors to realize or think about or recognize are manipulative behaviors. And then oftentimes when we read books like Safe People and Boundaries, it's quite disconcerting and it is quite overwhelming and frustrating and just disappointing and soul destroying and crushing, because we realize perhaps for the first time in our lives that we're the most unsafe person in the room, and we're the one with no boundaries. Why? Because we weren't taught how to be a safe person. We never saw safe people, and our boundaries were not respected. We never were even taught that there was a such thing as a boundary. So there's some shame attached to that. We sort of begin to should ourselves all over the place. I should have done this, and I should have done that, and I should have known what a boundary was, and I should have known what a safe person was, and I should have known what a safe characteristic was, and I should have known that I wasn't safe, and I should have known that I didn't have any boundaries, and I just should have known. And I'm here to tell you, there's no way you could have known. So don't should yourself all over the place if you can help it, because the only way we do better is if we know better. And if we don't know better, we can't do better. So here you are on this channel and you're wanting to know some stuff. So just by default, you're going to know some stuff and you're going to walk away going, wow, I have some different knowledge and some different sort of things. And I can sort of see things through a different grid now and go, oh yeah, that's that unhealthy characteristic that Athena talked about. So when I say manipulative tactics, like I mentioned earlier, that are difficult for survivors to recognize, I'm talking about sort of like guilt tripping or quid pro quo, like, well, if you do that for me, then I'll do this for you. Well, maybe you should have thought about that before. Or, like very coarse jesting, like really rough with words. And then when you feel hurt by it, or you begin to say, could you please not talk to me that way? Immediately the person shifts it and says, oh, you're just being too sensitive. You're just being overly sensitive. Like you need to get a thicker skin is one that I was told a lot, right? And I really tried to get a thicker skin, but you know what, guys? I'm here to tell you, I kind of like myself the way I am, thin skin and all. And I'm compassionate and I'm empathetic and I'm kind and I'm loving and I really care about people a lot. Like people who are strangers that I don't even know, like I really care. And I don't like to be called names and I don't like to be openly criticized in public for things that I don't know anything about, or picked on, or told that I'm fat or ugly or stupid or clumsy or dumb. Like, I don't like those things. Those things hurt. And I'm not going to grow a thicker skin so that I can allow people to call me fat and ugly and clumsy and stupid and whatever. I'm just not going to handle it anymore. Why? And if you take anything away from this episode, take this with you. Okay? Just hand this over. I'm just going to hand this over and ask you to just put it in your back pocket and take it with you. The people out there in the world that like you just as you are, without having to grow a thicker skin or change everything about you, there are plenty of them. There are plenty of people out there in the world that like me just as I am. They like me just for who I am. They don't need me to contort myself and squeeze into their version of who I need to be. And, or as Bobby says, chop off our arms and legs so we can fit into their box. There are enough people out there in the world that like me just as I am, that I don't have to change who I am or the way I think or the way I talk or the size of my dress or, the color of my skin, or the color of my hair, or whether I wear makeup or not, or whether I bite my fingernails or not, or whether I happen to shave my legs every single damn day or not, or if I like to wear long sleeve clothing when I live in a tropical environment. Like the people who really care about me and like me, they don't give a shit. They don't care if I wear long sleeves in a tropical climate. They don't care if my toes are perfect, or if my fingernails are perfect, or if I didn't pluck my eyebrows properly, or I'm wearing too much makeup or not enough makeup, or gosh, Athena, what's wrong? You look really tired. You must not be wearing any makeup today. Did you sleep well last night? You really don't look like you slept very well. Like those people that say those kinds of things are pretty much not my core group of people. They can go hang out with other people who don't mind when they give them backhanded compliments or criticize them for everything under the sun, like whether or not they pluck their eyebrows, or they're wearing the right kind of makeup, or they bought the right kind of handbag, or they eat the right kind of salad, or non-GMO food, or organic this, or vegan that. Like, there are enough people in the world that are just going to like you for who you are. You're not going to have to change. You're not going to have the perfect Vitamix blender or the Chanel sunglasses or the Gucci this or the Coach that or the Louis Vuitton. Like, none of that's going to matter to the people that really care about you. And one of the biggest mistakes I made in dating prior to getting healthy and getting healthy in and of myself and learning about myself and learning how to be a safe person and learning how to have healthy boundaries. And then once I became a safe person and learned what boundaries were, I could look for safe qualities and look for people who were boundaried individuals. So prior to all of that, I did try to fit in. I did. I just tried to fit in with everybody, and I wanted people to like me. And do I still want people to like me? Sure. But am I going to sacrifice everything about myself so that everyone will like me? No, because I know now that not everybody's going to like me. They're just not gonna. They're gonna think that I talk too much, or my teeth are funny looking, or I need to wear different makeup, or I need to, comb my hair differently, or quit biting my fingernails, or paint my nails a different color. Like, they're just gonna pick on me, and they're just gonna find something wrong. So, but prior to becoming a safe person and prior to becoming a boundaried individual, I did really base my worth on how many people liked me. I based my worth on whether or not people liked me. I based my entire worth on whether or not people liked me. Let's just let that hang in the air for a minute. I based my entire self-worth on whether or not people liked me. That's a dangerous place to be, folks. That's a dangerous place to be, because guess what? People are fickle. They like you one day and they don't like you the next. They send you 12-page emails telling you every wonderful thing you've ever done and every awesome video you've ever made and every amazing thing you've ever said. And then when you say one thing that they don't like, they send you 12 pages of everything you've ever done wrong that they never told you before. It just happens. And you know what? That brings me to a really important point that I would like to make in this broadcast regarding healthy dating and healthy romantic relationships. And that is something that is called love bombing. Love bombing is when someone constantly gives you perfect eye contact and they give you their full attention and they mirror back to you the feelings that you're feeling. And it's not just about being fully present and respectful. They literally have no self to them. They become you. They become a mirror image of you, and they mirror your behaviors, and they mirror your thoughts. They mirror your emotions. They mirror your facial expressions. They repeat back to you things that you said to them, and they do it over and over again, and they compliment you, and they tell you everything you want to hear and everything that they feel, and they want to spend every moment with you, and they want to text message you over and over and over again for several hours on end with no break whatsoever, because there's no need for a break, right? Because, who needs to go pee or eat or sleep or go to work or have any type of a life, right? That's unhealthy. That's a red flag that I want to tell you about. And I'm guilty of this. I was the most unsafe individual I had ever met prior to understanding that there was a such thing as unsafe, and prior to understanding that there was a such thing as a boundary. I didn't know. I was raised by someone who trained me to manipulate, trained me to mirror, trained me to earn people's approval, trained me to base my worth on whether or not people liked me or not. That's how I was raised. That's how I was praised or applauded or shown attention or approval or kindness. How many people could I get to like me? How many things could I get for my abuser? How many people could I get to like me and like my abuser? And how good could I be? How perfect could I be? And so I learned to play the game. I just did. And I was good at it. I was really good at it. Am I proud of that now? No, but I'm not going to hold any shame on it now. I'm not going to hold any shame due to the fact that that was me, because I was expertly trained and I was a good student. I did everything perfect. I was a good student. I was a master manipulator. I was a person who could I could outperform anyone at my job because I learned what everybody did and what worked for every single person. And I learned those things and I learned them well. And then I would just mimic whatever they were doing and I would get results. I was always one of the top producers at whatever job I had. If it was sales related or marketing related, I was always a top producer, platinum producer. I have awards and trophies. I got trips to Vegas, all expenses paid trips, all kinds of gift cards to like Coach and all those fancy places. I mean, you guys, I was expertly trained and it served me very well. I made a very, 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 very good living while I was raising my son by myself. He wanted for nothing. He had brand name clothing. He had everything he could possibly want or need until we moved to Hawaii. And then my life became very, very, very simple. And I surrendered my SUV to the dealership. I got on a plane and moved here with my job. My company ended up going out of business and I ended up becoming a waitress. And I waited tables. And then I got a job at a hotel and worked my way up. And I was really good at everything. I've been very, 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 very good at everything I've ever done because I was expertly trained by someone to learn well. And why did I learn so well? Why did I learn so well? And how does this relate to dating? Well, number one, I learned how to do everything so well because my life depended on it. If I behaved good enough while I was being raised, I wouldn't get abused as bad, right? Not so much, but that was what I reasoned in my mind. That fleeting moment of approval, that fleeting moment of, don't worry, we're going to get out of this. We're going to get out of here. I won't stay with this abusive husband. We won't have to live in this house. We'll get out of here. I live for those fleeting moments of approval and love and time, quality time. Didn't matter if it was just one moment out of thousands of moments. I lived, my whole worth was based on if I could gain my abuser's approval. Because I had reasoned in my mind that if I gained their approval, that everything in the whole world would work out. Everything would be okay, no matter what. And that's wrong thinking. And I didn't know it was wrong thinking, but I was expertly trained and I was an excellent student and it served me very, 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 very well for a lot of years. Until I surrendered my entire lifestyle and every manipulative quality I had, and I just wanted to live an honest life and not be manipulative and not have to hustle for my worth. And so that's when I decided to just walk away from it all. And I decided to wait tables and go work at a hotel and just be as good as I could at whatever I could. And most importantly, I wanted to be a good mom. I just wanted to be a good mom. I wanted to be fully present with my son, not in a weird love bomby sort of way, like give him all of my attention 100% of the time and like just do whatever, like earn his approval. Not like that, not in a weird, unhealthy way. But I just wanted to be an excellent mother. I read parenting books. I bought every book I could find on how to be a healthy communicator, how to learn how to communicate in a healthy way. I didn't have any communication skills whatsoever until I was in my 20s. I was socially inept. I only knew how to function around my abusers and how to get people to like me. But that only lasts for a minute. What comes next? What are you going to do for a follow-up? Like, you got nothing. Nothing. So if someone is love bombing you and giving you all of their attention and all of their love and all of their time, 100%, 24/7, 365, I just want you to know that that's an unsustainable pace to be traveling at. That pace can only last so long, and it's not healthy. And I really want you to do some research. I challenge you to do some research. Google the term love bombing. Look it up. Look up the book Safe People. Look up the book Boundaries. Oh, there's another book I read that was excellent. It's called Love is a Choice. And that is for people that are recovering from codependent relationships. Like if you're raised in a codependent family, Google codependent if you're not sure what that is. So I just want to encourage you, you guys. I came from a pit. I came from a pit of basing my entire worth on whether or not people liked me and approved of me. Like, I was headed for disaster. Like, because guess what? I'm never going to be approved of by everyone. I'm not. It's impossible. So I think I'm gonna do a screen share and share with you some things that, some questions that you guys have sent me. And let's see really quick. Here we go. Kate says, if I knew what safety looked like, I would have spent far less time falling into the arms of people who were not. Yes, yes, yes. We weren't raised to know what safety looks like and what safe people look like. It was not something that we were accustomed to if we were raised in an abusive environment or a toxic environment. Not everyone who has experienced child abuse or childhood sexual abuse was abused in the home. So if your abuse happened outside of your family of origin and it happened from, but you lived in a healthy home, but you were abused outside the home, then today's episode might not be for you. It might not be something that you find relevant or even helpful. But yes, Kate, oh my goodness. If we knew what safety looked like, we wouldn't have spent so much time falling into the arms of people who were not safe. Gosh, that's perfectly put. Lucy says, trust is incredibly hard. I also don't date. I can't do it. It freaks me out too much. Yes, yes, yes. I didn't date for a really, really, really long time. I'm telling you, I spent like the better part of 5 years going to all these classes and groups and just trying to learn about myself so that I didn't repeat the patterns that I had been repeating all those years. So you're not alone, and it's really, really, really difficult. JJ Strong says, also working on establishing and, more importantly, enforcing boundaries. I struggle every day with this. Yes, JJ. Establishing a healthy boundary is the first step, and we are so terrified of it. It's almost like if you're going to go skydiving, like jumping out of the airplane, right? Like you're unsure of what's going to happen. Is my parachute going to open? What's going to happen? Am I going to die? That's what establishing a healthy boundary feels like. It really feels like we're going to die because we fear disapproval and we fear abandonment and we fear being alone, that they're going to run away the other way because they don't want anything to do with our healthy boundary. So establishing healthy boundaries feels a lot like jumping out of an airplane, not knowing if your parachute is going to open. There's a lot of fear there. And then once you establish that healthy boundary, it is almost even more difficult to maintain it, because unless we're consistent with our boundaries, the people who are toxic in our lives, especially if they're loved ones, like people who raised us, unless we're consistent with our boundary, they won't take us seriously. They just won't. And the only way to establish and maintain healthy boundaries is by becoming a safe person ourselves and having healthy boundaries within ourselves, like setting commitments for ourselves and then following through, even if no one else knows about it. Like exercising that muscle of establishing a healthy boundary within ourselves by creating healthy habits. The only way we can have healthy relationships is if we create healthy habits for ourselves. And that's some bad news for a lot of people. A lot of people are going to be like, F this chick, and they're just going to turn the video off right now. And that's okay, because that's kind of like a bitter pill to swallow. It's impossible to have healthy dating or healthy romantic relationships if we are not choosing to have healthy daily habits ourselves. And that is painful, because who wants to be told that they can't have the greatest thing in the whole wide world unless they do A, B, C, and X, Y, and Z, and they have to do it all by themselves. No one wants to hear that. That's not popular. I'm not giving you all a popular message tonight, but I'm telling you right now that if you know of a way to have healthy dating and healthy romantic relationships apart from establishing and maintaining healthy boundaries in and of yourself, with yourself, setting commitments for yourself and following through and having healthy daily habits, if you know another way, post it, baby. Post it in the comments. Load those comments up. Teach us. I will be your student. I would love an easy way out. I would love to know how to have a healthy romantic relationship with my husband without having to deal with my own shit, without having to become healthy and make healthy habits and create healthy habits for myself and be healthy myself so that I can have a healthy relationship. I will be your student. Post that advice down in the comments because, man, I want that magic bullet. I want that Band-Aid. I want the easy fix. I want the magic pill. And I want it now. So, gosh, I can't wait to see if anybody posts anything. And I know I'm sounding like I'm being very snarky and rude. So please don't be snarky and rude. I'm like dead serious. Yes, I'm sort of being sarcastic, and I'm sorry if I've been rude or unkind to anyone. But like, I would really, truly love to know if there's some things, like a way to have a healthy romantic relationship with someone if we're not healthy ourselves. Like, I don't know any other way other than starting with, well, I feel, what's that song? Michael Jackson. I'm starting with the man in the mirror. Yeah, it starts with us, right? I mean, we have a community member that thinks in song lyrics. Destiny, Destiny. Where's Dominique? Dominique thinks in song lyrics too. I hope she's giving me some high fives right now. Okay, so Kira says, I think the biggest challenge survivors can have in developing a healthy relationship is that our emotional needs were never properly met, and we need to find a partner that is emotionally healthy. Amen. Yes. Woo. High five. Yes, Kira. And I hope I said it right. Kira. It's not Heller. I'm so sorry. It's not Kira Heller. It's Kira Heiler, I believe, unless it's Healer. And if that's it, then I'm sorry for mispronouncing your name. But yes, our emotional needs, if we were raised in a toxic family of origin, in an environment that was unhealthy, if our abuse happened outside the home and we were raised in a perfect, awesome family, then this might not apply to you and you can turn the video off. But if we were raised in a toxic family of origin, in abuse, in unhealthiness, our emotional needs were not met. If we had people in our family who were raising us who were passive aggressive, who liked to blame everything on us, to if they liked to point out everything that we did that was wrong and they had a critical spirit, or if we were raised by people who were emotionally unavailable, like lights are on but no one's home. If we were raised in an environment where our emotional needs were not met, and that's a need for approval and love and empathy and kindness and encouragement, those are basic needs for children. Children need those things. And if those needs were not met, then we can't have those needs met by somebody else in adulthood without first realizing that we have needs that weren't met and figuring out how to meet those emotional needs ourselves. And then once we become healthy and we are bringing healthiness to the table, we will help create a healthy relationship. We will be the better half, right? I mean, both halves are the better halves when you're both healthy. If you are a healthy individual that's creating healthy daily habits, you're going to end up seeking out a healthy individual who has created healthy daily habits, you know? So I hope that makes sense. Yes, yes, yes. I'm totally just high-fiving and agreeing with every single one of you guys. Hey, Kathy Bobathy. Many survivors seek a parent and a partner. Yes, we unknowingly do that. It's a subconscious thing. If we were raised by parents who were emotionally unavailable or did not approve of us, did not love us, were not kind to us, did not meet our basic needs for shelter, clothing, safety, food, love, kindness, approval, if those needs were not met by a parent, we will absolutely subconsciously attach ourselves in a romantic relationship that mimics a parent-child relationship, and we don't realize we're even doing it. It's totally subconscious. So that is something to be very aware of. That is a great point, Kathy. Oh, and if someone could let Kathy Bobathy know if she's not watching the video, if she's only on Twitter or in the chat and she's not watching, I got your comment on the self-care video. And the question that Kathy Bobathy had asked about self-care is, can self-care be triggering? And is that why we sometimes avoid it? And the answer is yes. Self-care can be triggering, especially if we grew up in an abusive environment. If we were raised in a healthy environment and our abuse happened outside the home, self-care will not be triggering. But if we were raised in an environment that was toxic or where our basic needs were not met, self-care can be very, very, very triggering. And this is something that I learned last year when I was doing a lot of speaking engagements at churches. Survivors who were sexually abused at a very young age, prior to the age of 8, struggle more with self-care than those who were sexually abused after the age of 8, like when they're preteens, like maybe, like 10 or 11 or even more. Especially hygiene, daily hygiene. Children who were sexually abused prior to their teen years, like when they were still, before they hit puberty, they struggle with hygiene. They struggle with daily brushing of the teeth, brushing their hair. They struggle with slovenliness and perhaps showering and taking care of their body, taking care of their vessel. They really struggle with that a lot. And I learned that children who were sexually abused, tweens and up, they also struggle with hygiene, but it's on the other end of the spectrum in that they are overly, they'll shower and wash multiple times per day, in excess. So I'm speaking in generalities, of course. This is only the rule and not the exception. You could be the exception to the rule. And you're saying, well, Athena, I was sexually abused when I was 6, and I lean towards the way other people are when they're sexually abused later on in life, and that I'm overly clean, and I shower 3 times a day, and I wash my hands 40 times a day, and I always make sure that my legs are perfectly shaved and my makeup is always on and everything's always perfect. So I thought you said it was the opposite. So again, you could be the exception to the rule. Every single person in the whole world is different. I'm just saying that I learned that. I learned as part of a workshop that I did while I was speaking that a lot of people who were sexually abused at a younger age or even experienced childhood abuse of any kind and trauma at a young age, they struggled more with daily hygiene and self-care than those who were abused later on. If their abuse started younger, if it went on and on and on and on and on, then yes, that would be, but and that would definitely be the case. But yes, self-care can be triggering. One example of this is a good daily habit is to find a quiet place or a place where it is peaceful, perhaps having just 15 minutes of quiet time a day to just breathe and to be calm and just be alone with your thoughts and be very mindful of the room that you're in. Do some deep breathing, maybe just some stretching. I know a lot of our survivors on this channel, a lot of us have physical limitations, so we can't do a lot of exercising. But even if you have physical limitations, you can do some deep breathing perhaps. But that can be very, very, very triggering for you. And let me tell you why. Because the abuse cycle is a cycle. And that is, like, if the abuse happens up here at 12 o'clock, if you get over here to 3 o'clock, guess what happens then? The honeymoon period of the abuse cycle. I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. It won't happen again. It won't happen again all the way till 6 o'clock. I'm so sorry, everything's great. And then guess what happens? Silence. Silence. It's calm. It's the calm before the storm. And it's very, and so silence and calm and quiet, hence like quiet, deep breathing, like being quiet and calm, is always it's just before the abuse happens again. So silence precedes abuse. Quiet, calm, the calm before the storm. And then the abuse happens again at 12 o'clock. And then And then the honeymoon begins at 3, and then it lasts until 6. And then after the honeymoon is over and things start happening again, then it gets kind of quiet. Something will happen, like something will blow up. There'll be a fight or an argument or whatever. Then it'll be silent. Silent, 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 silent. So anything silent and calming and quiet can be very, very, very triggering, which is why self-care, a lot of self-care can be triggering. And this is on the topic of self-care and taking care of ourselves and healthy daily habits as well. Taking vitamin supplements and doing what's right for our bodies. If we were raised in a toxic family of origin where we weren't worth anything, our worth was based solely on what we could do for our abusers, or what we could give them, or what chores we could do, or what we could give them, then our bodies were not a main focus. Our bodies were not a main concern. They were not valuable. And so now as adults, if we try to take vitamin supplements or take care of ourselves and practice excellent self-care, it feels very awkward and like not in alignment with who we are and what we're about, because we were raised in an environment where those things didn't take place. Like I specifically remember wanting Flintstone vitamins. I begged for Flintstone vitamins, and I was never allowed to have them. I was never allowed to take vitamins because they cost money. And why would I spend money on vitamins for you? This is the message in my head when I was a child. Why would I spend money on vitamins for you when I could be spending it on drugs or alcohol or something that I want? If I want to go to the beach, or if I want to go buy something, or I want to do a home improvement, or I want drugs or alcohol or whatever it might be. Anything but you. Why would I spend money on your vitamins? You're not worth it. You are not worth it, Athena. And so I have this subconscious message when I go to take vitamins or eat something healthy that I'm not worth it. So until we address all of the wrong thinking and the poor daily habits that we have, it will be difficult for us to find and cultivate and sustain a healthy dating relationship, healthy romantic relationship. That's not good news for a lot of us. In fact, some of you are probably giving me an evil eye, perhaps, or not feeling too happy and good about this broadcast. But until we acknowledge all of the areas in our own lives where we have wrong thinking or unhealthy daily habits, things that we wish we could do differently because we know that it might be a good idea, then it will be very difficult for us to cultivate and maintain a healthy dating or healthy romantic relationship. So I know that that's not happy news. People are not happy to hear that from me. Shane says, everything you're saying, Athena, makes me realize how much I let others dictate what my reality is and how easily that crumbles. Yes, 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 Shane. Oh my goodness. Yes. But we were. I want to say real loud and clear, Shane, that that's not your fault. Like, you were raised that way, and you didn't know any different. I was raised that way, and I behaved that way until I knew better, which was probably about 4 years ago. Like I allowed other people to dictate a lot of my life for a lot of years. And even my son's an amazing human being. He's incredible. He's bright. He's talented. He's kind. He's loving. He's compassionate. He's awesome. But I didn't know that I was allowing him to dictate my life. I thought, I'm becoming healthy. I'm establishing and maintaining very healthy boundaries, and I'm turning into an excellent communicator, and I'm being an excellent mother. And, obviously we all wish that we could do so many things differently with our kids, right? But I didn't realize that I was sort of like handing my whole life and everything over to my son. I didn't realize that I was doing that until he was proposing to his fiance. Now it's his wife. They've been married for a few years. But I remember when he was growing up and we moved to Hawaii, money was really tight. We prior to moving here, we were on a really strict budget. I was saving up money. I wanted to make sure I had money in the bank for when we moved, right? And so we were on a budget. And I would say, no, we don't have enough money for that. Or, Mom, can we go to In-N-Out Burger, which is like the holy grail of all fast food places. It's just amazing. And so I would say, no, we can't go to In-N-Out Burger tonight. We're saving. We're on a budget. And he would go, and he was just so annoyed that we were on a budget, right? So then after moving here and we were on an even tighter budget, you know, because I was waiting tables or working at a hotel, and, you know, I'm living in Hawaii, the cost of living is more. There was always, money was always really, really tight. So when my son was proposing to his wife, and they were planning their wedding, he automatically didn't think I was going to be able to attend because the flights are so expensive. It's like a couple $1,000s for me to be able to fly out, stay somewhere, you know, buy something to wear, attend, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so he spent like 2 or 3 hours on FaceTime or Skype with me talking about how he was going to propose, how excited he was, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, he was so excited to share it all with me, but he didn't invite me like formally, like, Mom, I'm getting married and I want you to be there. Like, I never got that conversation. And when I asked him why he didn't invite me, and told him how crushed I was that he didn't invite me, he said, I just automatically assumed you wouldn't be able to afford to attend. The thought didn't even cross my mind, because I had allowed my monetary limitations to dictate our whole world. And he just took for granted that that was the case. Like, he didn't, and I was like, you're my only child. I wouldn't miss your wedding day for all the money in the world. I don't care how much it costs me to get a ticket. I'm not missing your wedding day. I'm going to be there. Of course I'm going to be there. But it didn't even occur to him. Like, he just sort of made the decision for me, because growing up, he was the man of the house. You know, I was a single mom. He was the man of the house. So he made the decision for me instead of asking me. And I didn't realize that that's what I did with everyone until that moment. And then I started making some changes in my life. So it's been really, really hard, though. I did allow others to dictate my reality. And it was very painful for me to admit that. And it was difficult for me to cultivate and maintain healthy relationships of any kind, let alone a dating relationship and romantic relationship with my boyfriend, fiance, now husband, because I didn't know how to not allow other people to dictate my reality. It was just something that it takes a while. It just takes a while, right? So Shane, I feel you. Isa New says, understanding integrity helped me to see that approval of me must come from me. Yes, gosh, that's so perfectly put. Oh my goodness, let's make a meme out of that, Kalisha. Understanding integrity helped me see that approval of me must come from me. Like, that is poetic. Yes, yes, yes. Until we approve of ourselves and create and maintain healthy habits for ourselves, it will be very difficult for us to create and maintain healthy dating and romantic relationships. So I'm going to do a screen share and show you guys some questions that were sent in by you. I hope I can do this. I think it worked last week. But, let me know, you guys, if you can see this. I hope you can see this. Okay. OMG, yes. I have so many ideas. Love should not hurt is a good one for Valentine's Day. I read an article a while back about how when you fall in a healthy love, it feels calm and comfortable. Like if you are super nervous about everything and knots in your stomach and idealization, it's not a healthy love. It's what you get from movies. I hope a little of what I mean makes sense. As an artist, this is a theme I've been working on a show on, specifically for February 14th, awareness of domestic abuse. So this is an answer. This is a request for a video on love should not hurt. which was an answer to my question, which was, what topics would you like me to record videos on? So that's why I chose this question today, because tomorrow's Valentine's Day. So, and then there's one beneath that, says, I could not walk for a month due to an ex. Domestic violence is a topic that is huge for me, and what an incredible reflection of what I grew up with in my environment. Mind altering. A video about generalized manipulations to be able to recognize would be so helpful. Like knowing the name of a tactic is so empowering. Like hoovering, triangulation, gaslighting is included with its own video, stonewalling, leveling, pacing. And then I forgot to click the see more to see what else was said in that one. And then down on the bottom was, this was super key. I think for me, something about how to navigate and interact with close relatives who are also trauma survivors, but in denial, or worse yet, have bought into the idea that mental health is for the weak. Okay, so all these questions here, I'm going to tie them together right now with a bow, and I'm going to talk about these different aspects of healthy relationships as it pertains to healthy dating and healthy romantic relationships. So in the top up here, we see like right here, love should not hurt. And I want to let you know right now that if you are currently in a relationship where you're constantly in emotional pain or physical pain, it is a big red flag that you may be in a relationship that is not healthy, that it's toxic. Love should not hurt, but we don't know that if we were raised in an abusive environment. We don't know that love should not hurt if we saw our parents hurting one another, or one or both of our parents in a lot of emotional pain as a result of the other person, whether it's the mom or the dad or the grandma, the grandpa, the aunt, the uncle, whoever it is that raised you. So if you're in a relationship and it is painful, oh my goodness, I want to let you know that that's a red flag. And even though you're afraid to be alone, being alone, believe it or not, is a healthier choice than being in a relationship that is unhealthy. I know for some of you, you were hoping I wouldn't say that, because it's way easier to stay in a relationship that is emotionally damaging or painful, or physically damaging and painful. It's easier to stay because we're used to it. Perhaps we don't know what it's like to be by ourselves, and we're afraid of being alone. So we lower our standards or put up with abuse, whether it's emotional abuse, verbal abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse. And yes, by the way, sexual abuse can happen within a romantic partner relationship. Rape can happen within marriage. Sex is consensual. And I want to just drive that home right now. Just because you're married doesn't mean that that there can be no such thing as sexual abuse or rape. Sex needs to be consensual. And I really, really want to just drive that home. Someone out there needs to hear that right now. It is safer for you to be by yourself than it is to be in an unhealthy relationship. It's scary. Yes, I won't say that it's not scary, but it is healthier. And you will be able to get healthy when you can focus on you. So I'm going to move down here to this one. Like, if you are super nervous about everything, knots in your stomach, and idealization, this is not a healthy love. I want to really talk about this for a moment, okay? If you are in a relationship and there's constant butterflies, and you see these things all the time. You see these types of memes and things in movies, and my heart still goes pitter patter, and I still have butterflies every time I see my wife across the room, et cetera, et cetera. I understand. I get it. That's fantastic that you guys are still in love. That's wonderful. But if you have a pit in your stomach and you're really nervous and you fear disapproval, or if you're constantly daydreaming about what it's going to be like and you're never fully present because you're either nervous or walking on eggshells or daydreaming and imagining and romanticizing what life is going to be like someday, 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 that is not a relationship that is based on reality. That is based on a lot of feelings and emotions and chemicals. And I would say don't make any life altering long-term decisions if you're in this point of your dating relationship. I'm not saying that being nervous and getting butterflies and being super excited and all of that isn't healthy. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying that there needs to be a balance. For instance, my husband and I are not going to be celebrating Valentine's Day on Valentine's Day, which is tomorrow, Tuesday, because I have Bible study on Tuesday night, and I'm super excited to be attending. I'm really excited about the ladies that I get to hang out with and spend time with, and it's just good quality girl time, and it's a confidential study, and I love the safe place that has been created for me to just go be, and I value that. I value it so deeply. I value the women that I get to spend time with. I've gotten to know them over the past probably 5, 6, 7 years, and I love it. And I value it. And my husband's not the type of man who wants to wait in line for 2 hours to go to a restaurant anyway. And I knew that. And so I arranged with him if we could perhaps celebrate Valentine's Day another night. And he said, how about Wednesday night? And I got this little butterflies in my stomach about the thought of wearing something pretty and doing my hair and wearing pretty lipstick and going to my favorite spot and just sitting there for hours and hours and hours with nothing to do but hang out with my husband. And I got giddy about it. And then I moved on with my day, and here I am, and I'm doing, all of my normal life things. That's a balance, because life is going on, even though I was nervous about asking my husband if we could postpone Valentine's Day. And I did have a little bit of a knot in my stomach, hoping that everything was going to work out. And then I was fantasizing about what I would wear and whatever. But notice, followed up with that is, I got up and I made dinner, and then, we did some chores, and my husband went to the beach, and then I read a book, and then he took a nap, and then I worked and, responded to some emails and some voice messages, and, life went on. It didn't last for hours or days on end. So there must be a balance of it all. And I just want to really drive that part home. I'm going to move down now a little bit here. I could not walk for a month due to an ex. Domestic violence is a topic that is huge for me, and what an incredible reflection of what I grew up with in my environment. It's mind-altering. Now, I want to raise awareness to this topic, and that is that domestic violence does exist, and that it is dangerous to leave a domestic violence relationship. We have dear friends who host hashtag domestic violence chat. I'm not sure what's going on with their chat or what night it's on, or if they're on a bit of a rest right now. Some of our community members are regular attendees of domestic violence chat. But if you are in a domestic violence relationship and you are physically not able to walk, or if you have that fear that something's going on, if this is something that is a normal thing for you and it's just what you grew up with. Like, I grew up in a domestic violence situation where weapons and abuse and verbal abuse and manipulation and abuse of all kinds was a regular daily thing in my home. You were always walking on eggshells. So I didn't know that an occasional name calling or occasional shove or real covert type abuse, I didn't know that wasn't healthy. And so I needed to learn what was healthy so that I could then model my healthy relationships after what was healthy and not what I grew up with. So please reach out, and I really, really, really urge you to get in touch with our friends over at RAINN, RAINN.org. It's the Rape, Abuse, Incest National Network. And there are also some really great resources specifically for domestic violence. And perhaps I could get some of you to tweet those links out or post them in the comments below for our friends that might need access to a resource for domestic violence. That would be super amazing. So I'm going to move down here to a video about generalized manipulations. I want to first of all say, Harriet, if you could pop up one of those YouTube card links up in the corner there that would link to our video about gaslighting, that would be amazing. And then if you could also put a link after that to the Surviving Narcissistic Abuse Summit that we hosted a couple years ago. I'm going to be, in honor of Narcissistic Abuse Awareness Day, which is June 1st, I'm going to be hosting another summit with Bree Bonchet. This coming up, June 1st, somewhere right around the beginning of June, we're going to host a summit. And we're still building our speaker panel for who we're going to be inviting to share regarding narcissistic abuse. But manipulation of any kind, hoovering for sure, is when you're trying to get away from someone who's abusive and you're pretty sure you've gotten away from them, and then all of a sudden they're nice to you and they're acting how you wished and prayed and hoped they would always act for years and years and years. I'm talking about this term here called hoovering. When you break away from an abusive person and then they turn out to be, they start sending you text messages or phone calls or emails or cards or flowers or sending messages through other people, and they're hoovering you, they're sucking you back in. Hoover after the vacuum, they're sucking you back in, because the idealization, the fantasy version of them that you wanted to be true, this could be a parent that you always wished you had a relationship with, this could be a romantic partner, a dating relationship that you always wished they would be a certain way, but they ended up being abusive. Well, now they're turning into the most wonderful person you've ever seen. And they've realized the error in their ways. They're sorry, please come back. It won't happen again, etc. That's hoovering. Beware. Beware when someone flips the coin and flips the script on you very, very, very quickly. Please beware. I'm going to move along to this term here, triangulation, which we talked a little bit about on other videos. And that is when one person is saying, well, Athena, this person is saying this and this person is saying that. And I was wondering if you could please tell this person not to do this or not to do that. And then the other person is saying, hey, Athena, so-and-so is doing these things and doing that thing and saying this. And I really could, is there any way you could please get involved and just let them, just let them know that I don't want them doing that. Or I don't need you to do anything, Athena. I just wanted you to know. That's still triangulation. Triangle, meaning three, meaning that there are two people involved in a situation, but they're sucking you, the third person, into it for some reason. This could be an abusive spouse or boyfriend, and they are in some sort of situation, and they decide to include you in it and suck you in. And I just wanted you to know, or I just wanted to ask your opinion. This is what's going on with this person. It's between one person and another person, but they are including you in the situation. And it could be that they don't even know that there's a such thing as triangulation. It could be innocent. They don't even know that that's what they're doing. It's just what they were taught, or it was what was modeled for them growing up. And oftentimes that is the case. They were raised in an environment where so-and-so and so-and-so were in an argument. And so what they would do is each of them would separately call so-and-so to get their opinion. And that right there is a recipe for disaster. That is triangulation. So stay away from that if you possibly can. You don't need, if you want to create healthy daily habits and have a healthy romantic and dating relationship, you will not be involved in triangulation because it's not a healthy tactic. Gaslighting. Harriet's going to put a link down below in the description to the video we did on gaslighting and to the video at the Surviving Narcissistic Abuse Summit. I talked briefly about gaslighting in several of our videos, and that is when someone is clearly saying something or doing something, and when you bring attention to it, they say, huh? I don't know what you're even talking about. Or if there's something abusive going on in a situation and you bring attention to it, they immediately revise reality and say, "Oh, that never happened. Oh no, you're just you just are imagining that. That didn't happen at all." Well, I noticed that you were texting someone at like 3 in the morning, and I was just wondering who you were texting. Huh? What are you even talking about? Like, I wasn't texting anybody at 3 in the morning. You can even go look at my phone. And sure enough, they let you look in their phone, and there's no text message. Why? Because they deleted it. Or there's a and by the way, if you're in a relationship with someone that's a dating relationship or a romantic relationship, and you feel the urge or the need for whatever reason to monitor their cell phone usage and look at their phone and check their phone or check their computer all the time, that is a red flag of one or two things. And that is either A, they have done something to break your trust, and it is a familiar behavior that you're aware of and that you're responding to, that you're used to that. Like, you're used to being in a relationship where someone's dishonest, and so therefore you must always check their phone. Or you have baggage from a previous relationship, which is totally natural and common. I have baggage from previous relationships. And so you are thinking that this person needs to be monitored and this person can't be trusted because none of your previous relationships were untrustworthy as well. And maybe a previous relationship of yours was someone who cheated or was dishonest. And so you've carried that into your next relationship. Again, when we work on ourselves and we get healthy ourselves, we have healthier dating and healthier romantic relationships moving forward. So gaslighting, revising of history. They revise history. What are you talking about? That totally never happened. Or, don't you remember the time we went here, here, and there? Don't you remember that? And you're like, no, I don't remember us doing any of those things. I remember we went here. No, we didn't. Don't you remember we went here? And you're clearly remembering like a different day and a different situation, but they're denying it. They're denying it, and they're pointing to something else that you'll remember, and they're telling you that it was on that day because they don't want you to grasp reality. They're revising history in order to make you crazy and in order for you to doubt your sanity. And if you're in a relationship like that, I don't know what else to say to you other than run. Run as fast as you can. Run, get out of it. Run the other way. Get away, go away. Find a really great therapist who understands what gaslighting is. Do not, I repeat, do not hire a therapist that doesn't understand what gaslighting is. Ask your therapist ahead of time if they know what gaslighting is, or if they've heard of narcissistic abuse or covert abuse. And if they have no idea what you're talking about, find another therapist. Do not, I repeat, do not hire a helping professional that will not validate you and comfort you and help you grasp what's left of your sanity if you're coming out of a relationship where you've been gaslit. So it's huge. It's basically, gaslighting is psychological warfare. It's just one part, one piece of psychological warfare. Okay, there are so many other, in an effort to conserve time, because I'm already coming up on time on this video, I'm going to skip the rest of these terms and I'm going to record separate videos for them. And I'm going to come down to here and I'm going to talk about this one. Something about how to navigate and interact with close relatives who are also trauma survivors, but they're in denial, or worse yet, they have bought into the idea that mental health is for the weak. Okay, so if you are involved in a relationship with someone, whether it's a romantic relationship, a dating relationship, or even if it's a family member or whomever it might be, and they are also a survivor, but they say things like, well, I'm fine, everything's fine, I've already processed it all, I'm great, I'm moving on, and I don't need to deal with that anymore. Like, it's no big deal. Like, why don't you just get over that by now? That was a long time ago. You know, let the past be the past, let bygones be bygones. You're not helping anything by bringing up the past, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I'm telling you right now that that's fine for them, but that doesn't have to be fine for you. You are your own person. Your recovery from your abuse is your own situation. And we can never be responsible for another person's recovery. If they are choosing to be in denial about their abuse or their trauma, then all we can do is share love with them and hold a safe space for them and tell them that we're thinking of them, that we love them, or whatever your beliefs may be. If you want to pray for them, let them know that you're praying for them, or just whatever your intention is pure, I'm sure. You wish them well, you love them, but you cannot help them to see what they don't see, what they're not choosing to see. They, for some reason, have a vested interest in staying wherever they are or denying whatever has happened, and you can never change that. Nothing you do will ever change that. They have to want it for themselves. The best advice I can give you as a survivor is to focus on you and your recovery and your journey and your health. I'm hoping and praying that you will be able to navigate and interact with the relationships that you have, while holding on to your own sanity and doing what's best for you in your recovery. Because as much as we love other people, even if they're survivors and they have trauma, they have to want to heal. They have to want to heal, and their healing journey may look 180 degrees different from yours. It may look completely different than your healing journey. And the bottom line here, on the page where it says, or worse yet, they have bought into the idea that mental health is for the weak. I'm going to tell you guys right now, straight up, that this defines a huge percentage of the population. A huge percentage of the world's population right now would love to believe that if something's wrong with you mentally, that you just need to, quote unquote, pray more. You need bigger faith. You need, that's just because you have a weak character. I went through the same thing you went through, so why don't I have mental problems? You're obviously choosing to be sad. That's why you're depressed. You know, why do you need a 12-step program? Jesus is a 1-step program. If I hear that one more time, I swear I'm going to go postal on someone, like for real. You guys, minimizing someone else's pain, especially if they're struggling with mental illness, that's abusive. This right here, the outlined part of the comment down below where the blue is, where the little lines are moving. Worse yet, they have bought into the idea that mental health is for the weak. If those are people that you're around and those are part of your immediate sphere of influence, I highly, highly, highly recommend surrounding yourself with other people who will not treat you that way and who will not belittle you and demean you and judge you and try to revise your reality. Because guess what? The brain is an organ just like the heart, just like the lungs. And last time I checked, when something's wrong with your lungs or something's wrong with your heart, people aren't coming up with reasons why you shouldn't go get your heart checked or go get your lungs checked. On the contrary, there are programs and people do, you know, fundraisers, and everything's very, very, very public when you are going to take care of your physical health. But the moment we start discussing mental health, then all of a sudden people want to attach a stigma and all kinds of shame, and they try to should people all over the place, telling them that they need to do things differently. And I'm here to tell you that this is a safe place for you to come with your mental health questions. Another place online that you could go to ask mental health questions is katiemorton.com. She has a great YouTube channel, Katie Morton. That's KATIMORTON. Katie Morton. She's amazing. Hashtag Kenyans. Where are my Kenyans in the house? You guys, mental health is real. It's not for the weak. And PTSD is real. And if you're on this channel, you're likely living with PTSD or possibly symptoms of complex PTSD. And this is a safe place for you to come. No one's ever going to tell you that you're weak. if you would like to have a conversation about mental health. So I'm sorry that we had to even go into these types of questions, because man, they can be really triggering and really, really unkind. But I mean, there are people out there that want to believe that mental health is for the weak. And I'm sorry, I'm just not one of those people that believes that. So I have another question that someone has sent in that I would like to share with you here tonight on this topic. I covered it earlier, but I want to go into a little bit more detail, and then I'll let you guys go. How do I know when I will be ready to start dating and have a relationship with someone? Right now, I don't ever see myself with someone because I don't trust anyone, because I'm always fearful that I will get hurt or used. Since it has happened before, it can and will happen again. So I just want to say, trust is earned. And if someone isn't worthy of your trust, if they haven't earned your trust, then that's okay. Excuse me. The thing that I would say, if this person were one of my clients, I would just say, wait. I would say, how do you know when you're ready? I would say, if you've spent a good amount of time really getting to know yourself and knowing what your triggers are, where you are mentally and emotionally, what your needs are, addressing the needs that were not met when you were younger, and finding a way to meet those needs now yourself. When you go into a relationship and you have a lot of unmet needs from childhood and you expect your partner to meet your unmet needs from childhood, you're starting out a relationship with a deficit. You're setting yourself up for a relationship that could go south really, really fast and then be really, really painful, because you're so used to your needs not being met that you go into the relationship needing your needs met, but halfway subconsciously expecting that they won't be met. And then once someone begins to bolt and start to sort of ease out of the relationship for one reason or another, because they're just not ready, or because perhaps you're too needy, they've labeled you too needy, then all of a sudden it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's history repeated. Your needs weren't met in childhood, and so now they're not met again. And so then what do? As a survivor, you say, see, I knew it. I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy of my needs being met. It's my fault. I'm too needy. And that is a vicious cycle to get into. The best possible way for you to create and maintain a healthy dating and a healthy romantic relationship is creating and maintaining a healthy relationship with yourself based on who you are now and the needs you have now, always keeping in mind the needs that you had before that were never met. So that's a trauma-informed approach to a relationship that I highly recommend looking into. And that is always keeping in mind where you came from and the needs that were not met, while creating a relationship with yourself and maintaining a relationship with yourself based on your needs now, present day. Not forgetting about those needs that were never met, not deleting them, not shoving them to the back, not saying, who's got time for this? Ain't got no time to meet my childhood needs. I'm not a child, I'm an adult now. Like, that's not a holistic approach to living. We need to approach the relationship we have with ourselves in a holistic way, meaning we take into consideration the whole, the mind, the body, the soul, and we think about the needs that were not met. We find a way to meet those needs from childhood now as an adult, and then think about the needs we have now as an adult, and create healthy habits surrounding the needs that we have now as an adult, always being sure to keep in mind the needs that we used to have that were not met previously, until we don't have those triggers anymore. Chances are, if you take that holistic approach, your triggers will decrease and they won't show up as frequently, and they won't be as strong. I hope that answered your question. Let me make sure. Maybe if I don't hope I didn't miss part of the question. How do I know when I'll be ready to start dating and have a relationship with someone? Right now, I don't ever see myself with someone because I don't trust anyone, because I'm always fearful I will get hurt or used. Yeah, as we create that healthy relationship with ourselves, always keeping in mind the needs that weren't met and the needs we have now, and we find a way to meet our own needs so that we're not going into the relationship seeking to have our needs met. We're going into a relationship and approaching a relationship with, what can I bring to this relationship? What can I give this other person? How can I be vulnerable and open and giving towards this other person? What can I give this other person? And then the other person ideally is healthy and they have a healthy relationship with themselves, and they're looking at what can I bring to this relationship? What can I give this relationship? So I hope that was helpful. I was in a place personally where I didn't see myself with anyone at all, and I was very fearful that I would get hurt or used because I had previously been hurt and used. And it took me years and years and years of really getting to know myself. I would say between 3 and 5 years of getting to know myself, and what my needs were, and what my needs were now, and the needs that I used to have that were never met, and how many of those are sort of left over. How many of those am I bringing into this relationship now that I don't know about? And I was sort of uncovering all those stones and looking under all of those stones just to see what I would find. I sort of approached my relationship with myself and my relationship with a potential partner as like a scavenger hunt. Like, what can I find here? What can I find that looks familiar from my past? And how can I address that now so that I can address those things now while I'm single? So if I find anything that's very triggering for me, then I'll know what those triggers are. And I'll know so any unhealthy habits I have, or wrong thinking that I have, or these needs that I have before I enter into this other relationship, this healthy relationship. So my husband and I'm 43. My husband and I will be married 6 years in April. And our relationship, I would have to say, is pretty healthy. Our relationship's not abusive. It's not toxic. It's not manipulative. It's not controlling. And I'm not saying it's perfect. That's unrealistic. There's no such thing as a perfect relationship. There just isn't. But I will say that the relationship that I have with my husband is one that I maintain and look at and look to pour into and seek what I can bring to the table and what I can give on a daily basis. I don't really skip a day. Like, there's not a day that goes by that I show up going, what can I get from my husband? What can I get from this relationship? And there's not a day that's gone by in almost 6 years that I haven't wanted to grow as a person. And you can't create that. I want to close with this. You can't create in someone a desire to change or to learn and grow. You're either the type of person that wants to learn and grow, or you're the type of person that doesn't want to learn and grow. You have to decide that for yourself. You can't create that in another person. You can create it in you, like, wow, I've been this way for all these years, and I think I want to do something different. Like, you can do that for yourself, but we can never create in another person a desire to learn and grow. And that's a really important thing to keep in mind. I often try to get my husband to understand my sort of entrepreneurial ways. And, what do you mean you're going to be on YouTube for 2 hours? And, or what are you doing when you're working for 12 hours? You're responding to social media comments, and you're responding to emails, and like, you're on Twitter, and you're on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, and like, that doesn't sound like work. He doesn't say those things to me, but in the very, very, very beginning, he didn't really understand. And so I've kind of tried to get him to understand my entrepreneurial ways and my out-of-the-box thinking, and the ways that I love leveraging social media in order to reach people with a message of hope and healing, and sort of tap an untapped resource for people. Like, I want to add value to people's lives via social media in a way that they're not receiving it in other places. Like the things that we're doing on this YouTube channel and on Twitter and on Facebook and all of that, like there are a lot of us doing it now, but previously people weren't doing this. They just weren't. So, but I tried to create in my husband an entrepreneurial spirit. Like, honey, it's amazing. It's awesome. Like, don't you understand? Like someday down the road, I'm going to have this nonprofit organization, and it all would have started on YouTube, and it'll just be so amazing. And he's like, yeah, you need systems, and you need an accountant, and you need QuickBooks, and you need to be doing this and that. And do you need a building? And I'm just like, no, I just need social media, So, I mean, you can't create in someone else a desire to learn and grow in a specific area. They have to want it. So I quit trying to get my husband to learn about it. I just decided to cruise and do my own thing and run my business the way I'm going to run my business. And when he sees how awesome and happy and joyful I am, and how many emails and DMs and Facebook messages and cards and letters I get in the mail and everything, then he'll be like, maybe there is something to this whole social media thing. And that's not how my husband talks. But you can never create in someone else a desire to learn and grow. Only you can create that within yourself. So that is something super important as you're talking about and focusing on romantic relationships and dating relationships, because if you're going into the relationship and you're hoping that they're going to someday change and want to learn and grow, that's not likely. I haven't seen that happen ever before. So I don't mean to end this broadcast on a wah-wah, but gosh, there's still so many of you here. Okay, well, I'm gonna sign off for now because I'm over time. I'm like 10 minutes, 15 minutes over time. So happy Valentine's Day to you. Happy birthday, Lizzie. And I'm hoping and praying and thinking that each and every one of you are just amazing. And I hope that you guys are going to have a wonderful week. I look forward to seeing you right back here next week, every single Monday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here on Trauma Recovery University. And I'm Athena Moberg, and I love bringing you everything you need for healthy, informed trauma recovery. So thanks so much for being here tonight, guys. Aloha.